fucking bitch.
I'm Josh.
I'm Dylan.
I'm Stacy.
And I'm Christian.
And we're
Humor, Haunts, and Homicide.
Welcome back. We are at season 3, episode 4. We have a lot to discuss today. We're going to dive right into our weekly obsessions. Mine, just to get us going, is Disney. I am obsessed with the fact that they have their DEI efforts staying strong. They're staying firm on their LGBTQ rights and their effort to really have that shown in their company and have everybody value, but especially in that marginalized community. We just got an annual visitors pass, which I'm absolutely obsessing over. I've been in their app. I've been ordering these magic bands. We had them personalized. We have scheduled the next 4 theme park visits, and I'm just really happy and impressed about it. So that's mine.
I'm so jealous.
My obsession currently right now, it's going to sound weird, but I love cottage cheese. And I know it sounds weird, but I like eating it with fruit, especially for breakfast. Like if I eat it with like strawberries or peaches or pineapple, even sometimes like blueberries, things like that. I really like it. I know people think it's weird, but I never have to worry about it being eaten in my house because I'm the only one who will eat it. So it's a perk.
Yeah, perk for who? It's absolutely vile, and it's curdy and chunky, and it's...
Well, I love it. It's good.
I do not. I cannot with cottage cheese. Like, I love me some dairy, but cottage cheese, I think I tried it once, and I had to, like, run out into my back deck and just barf. It was so gross.
I like cottage cheese, but I've never had it with fruit. I eat it with the Frito scoops. So good.
It's good. Yeah, I like Frito scoops. They're good with cottage cheese, but I primarily eat it with fruit.
Well, following that trend with dairy talk, Dylan, I'm actually obsessed right now with milk. I go through like spurts of wanting it and then going without it for so long, but I actually had to switch from 2% to 1%, and I'm already ready to switch to skim because it's like so thick.
That's so disgusting.
That's disgusting. I'm sorry.
I don't understand the need for that much milk. I mean, I understand like maybe a chocolate milk, a strawberry milk, give you a little variety of milk, but ultimately plain fucking milk. And I know this about you. You drink it with ice, which is extra weird.
Because it tends to just loosen up that thickness of the milk itself. I can't believe I actually used to drink vitamin D.
Watered down milk is what I'm getting. No thanks.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Mine is McDonald's breakfast. My gosh. The sausage McMuffins with an extra sausage patty with 2 hash browns and a large high C. I will have that every single day.
We actually went through a McDonald's drive-thru experience, and Dylan had lost his complete ever-living mind on somebody. Now, let me tell you. This might take a few minutes, but it's worth it, I promise. We're behind this lady. It's right at about 10:05, so we know we got some time to spare before that 10:30 mark hits on a Saturday. The bagels had just come back, so we were really excited to go grab them because, you know, they were gone for a few years, and that was my thing. We get in the drive-thru. This lady's on her fucking phone. She had all this time as we're at the end of the damn road waiting for this line to get through, and she is now calling somebody as she gets to the speaker to get their order. And they're just going through this family's order, waiting at 10:30. We pull up to the speaker, which, by the way, we already paid for our order in the app. We were just trying to tell them we're here to go pick it up. Instead, when we get there, he goes, "I'm sorry, that was just the last breakfast being served in front of you." So Dylan rolls down the window and he's like, "You fucking bitch. I can't believe you fucking bitch." And the girl rolls down her window and she's like, "Are you kidding me, you psychopath, over McDonald's breakfast?" And he's like, "Yeah, I hope you get hit by a car, you fucking bitch." And I was like, Dylan, over some goddamn, I mean, I get the bagels are needing and I mean, shit, but
she hit a trigger. That woman just pissed me off. Why come through the drive-thru at any fast food place and then sit there and wait for someone to call their order? Like, we live in 2025. just text the order as to what you want and just place the order online and just pick it up in the drive-thru. Like, I've had it.
I didn't even know it was possible for him to get that mad. And he happened to have that trigger with the damn McDonald's breakfast.
I mean, I get it. Don't stand between me and steak bagel. I like those steak bagels.
You heard my obsession with McMuffins. Don't get in my way.
I love their breakfast. My favorite is probably the sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit. But what I do is I put a hash brown on my sandwich. So I like split the hash brown in half and I put it on the sandwich as well. So it's kind of like got like the crisp of the potato. It's so good. I could eat it all the time.
Oh my gosh, that sounds delicious.
All right, ladies, I am so excited to hear about your stories this week. We are ready whenever you are.
I actually decided to stick with the theme of Michigan. I did research on Mackinaw Island. It's actually a place that's full of hauntings that I was completely unaware of. So, beneath the gentle winds and peaceful streets of Mackinaw Island lies a history soaked in blood, betrayal, and tragedy. From the shores where Native American tribes once fished to the barriers of a military fort, the island is home to stories that refuse to be forgotten, even in death. Mackinaw Island's beauty is undeniable. Lush green forests, quaint streets, and the stunning Grand Hotel. But beneath this scenic surface, the island has been silent witness to hundreds of years of bloodshed, colonial strife, war, and untimely deaths. It's not just the spirits of soldiers and settlers that haunt this place, but the deep wounds of history itself that refuse to heal. From battlefields to old mansions, Mackinac Island is truly a gateway to the past, with restless spirits lingering long after their lives have ended. Talking briefly about the history of Mackinac Island, before the arrival of French settlers, the island was a sacred place for the Chippewa people, who called it Michilimackinac. The island was a vital location for fishing, trade, and spiritual ceremonies. The land was honored, and many Native American tribes considered it a site of great spiritual importance. In 1670, the French established a fort on the island, marking the beginning of its colonial history. It quickly became an important fur trading post, connecting European settlers with Native American tribes. But this peaceful relationship didn't last. The fur trade led to friction and conflict, with many indigenous groups displaced and caught in the web of European expansion. The island became a symbol of the bitter colonial battles that would follow for the next century. In the early 1800s, Mackinac Island was a strategically important British outpost. During the War of 1812, the British and American forces clashed at Fort Mackinac. The battle itself was short but bloody, and many soldiers perished, either from gunfire or from disease. This battle and the ghostly echoes of those who died there has become one of the most enduring sources of supernatural activity. The fort's strategic location and military history make it a focal point for paranormal events. Soldiers' restless souls are believed to haunt the area, unable to move on from the traumatic events of the war. It found two stories that take place in what's called the officers' quarters. Fort Mackinac is the most notorious site for ghost stories on the island. Visitors often report unexplained cold spots, flickering lights, and the feeling of being watched. One of the most chilling legends involves the Lady in Black, a shadowy figure seen near the officers' quarters. She is said to be the ghost of a woman who was left heartbroken by a soldier's death during the Battle of Mackinac Island. Her figure, shrouded in black, appears at sunset, walking near the fort walls, seemingly searching for someone who is no longer there.
I'm telling you, it's always these centennial love stories that make me the saddest, because there was no way to communicate if you were missing a loved one due to war or going into these scenarios where you just don't know what's next. So you're always wondering and missing and hoping and praying. And that's the part that gets me.
Yeah, that's super, super sad. for the soldiers' loved ones who, never hear from them anymore. It's just so sad without ever really knowing what happened. Another eerie tale involves the ghost of an officer who perished in the war. People walking near the barracks often hear his voice calling out, as though giving orders. It is said that the sound of his boots clanging against the cobblestones can still be heard late at night, even though no one is there. This one is super sad. I mean, that one was sad too, but this one's sad too. The fort is also the site of what's known as the phantom drumbeat. Some claim to hear the rhythmic beating of a drum at night, echoing through the fort's halls. This is attributed to the ghost of the young drummer boy who was killed during the battle. He was the first soldier to die on the island and is said to march the grounds eternally, his drumbeat signaling the start of the bloody conflict. Other reports speak of a crying soldier who wanders the fort, crying out in agony, especially on stormy nights. The sound is hauntingly clear, and many believe it's the spirit of a soldier who has either succumbed to the wounds on the battlefield or died from disease shortly after. His cries echo across the fort's grounds, never finding peace.
Oh, that's awful.
So sad.
Another interesting one that I found was the Grand Hotel. It goes on to say, no place on the island is as classic as the Grand Hotel, and no place is more associated with ghost stories. Opened in 1887, the Grand Hotel was built at a time when the island was a popular vacation destination for the elite. But behind its grand architecture, there is a shadowy past. This story mentioned a lady in white and a phantom guest. A frequent story at the hotel involves the lady in white. Legend has it that she was a young bride who came to the hotel to celebrate her honeymoon but tragically died under mysterious circumstances. Some say by suicide, others by a boating accident. She is seen dressed in a flowing white gown, walking along the grand porch or appearing in guest rooms, usually just before a storm. Some guests report their room suddenly growing icy cold as she appears, her mournful figure staring out over the channels of Mackinac. The hotel is also haunted by the phantom guest, a man dressed in Victorian-era clothing. He has been seen in the hotel's lobby or dining areas, also giving an eerie sense that he is waiting for someone. Staff and guests have reported seeing him at the edge of their vision, but when they turn to confront him, he vanishes into thin air. Some believe he is still waiting for a woman who never returned to the hotel. Interesting find is the Bridal House Museum, also out in Mackinaw Island. The Biddle House, now a museum, is one of the oldest buildings on Mackinaw Island, dating back to 1825. Once the home of an important fur trader, it has a history of its own. The house is said to be haunted by the ghost of a man named Samuel Biddle, a fur trader who died under strange circumstances. Visitors to the Biddle House have reported hearing strange sounds, like footsteps, when no one is around. And some have even felt the presence of an unseen hand brushing their shoulders or necks. Perhaps the most chilling reports come from guests who experience sudden drops in the temperature or see shadowy figures darting across rooms when they turn their backs.
I am fine with ghosts being around, but just don't touch me. That's all I ask.
I will scream the girliest scream anyone has ever heard.
Especially if you're sleeping, don't fucking touch me. Don't grab my sheet. Don't grab my hair. Don't grab my clothes. Don't tickle me. And you better not fucking be there when I wake up. If you're right in front of my face like some goddamn ghost creep, we're gonna have a fucking problem. You know what I mean?
Yes, I definitely know what you mean. So, side note real quick. My mom, when I was younger, used to tell me that if I was bad, the devil would come and scratch my feet at night. So to this day, I'm 36, 37 years old. I don't even know anymore.
You're 36.
36. And I still have to cover my freaking feet at night. I'm like, ain't gonna get me.
I cannot even touch her feet. She'll ask for a foot rub, and I go to grab her foot, and she's already pulling it away. I haven't even touched it yet.
I'm like, you have to do it aggressive. You can't be nice. Just grab my foot and just wrench on it. I don't know what to tell you.
Is it a ticklish problem or is it a fear for the monsters problem?
Definitely fear for the monsters problem.
Earlier today, my foot touched hers and she pulled it back real quick and she said, "No! Feet are off limits."
Completely. So back to the story, I'm going to start talking about the Mackinaw Island Cemetery. The Mackinaw Island Cemetery holds the remains of hundreds who lived and died on the island, including soldiers, settlers, and Native Americans, but it is particularly haunted by the spirits of those who died in the 1840s during a devastating smallpox epidemic. This outbreak wiped out a significant portion of the island's population. Many of the victims were buried quickly, and their restless spirits are said to roam the cemetery. Visitors report hearing whispers between the gravestones, as though voices from the past are still conversing. Others say that on certain nights you can hear faint cries coming from the graves, an unhappy reminder of the lives lost during the epidemic. Some even claim to see figures moving between the headstones shrouded in mist. Mackinaw Island's haunting past is as rich and complex as its history. Whether you're walking along the island's cobblestone streets, peering into the misty cemetery, or exploring the dark corridors of the Grand Hotel, the spirits of the past are never far away. From the soldiers who died at Fort Mackinac to the troubled souls lingering at the Biddle House, these restless spirits have been trapped in time, unable to escape the shadows of the island's tragic history. Although the island might be quiet now, listen closely, and you'll hear the whispers of those who never left. Perhaps it's better that way. Some stories are too important to forget, even in death.
There's a lot of layers there, a lot of history, a lot of sadness that ultimately leads to the melancholy of the whole aura of the place. I love it.
It's hard to believe that I didn't realize that. Somebody who was born and raised in Michigan, and I have been there a couple times even visiting, and I have yet to encounter, thank you, I don't want to encounter, but I have yet to encounter on my visits anything of the supernatural world, if you will.
I've lived there most of my life except for the last 10 years, and I've never visited it. I've always wanted to, but never did. And now it is back on my bucket list of things I want to do even more now so than ever.
It's a very beautiful place to go. It's just the water and the greenery and everything is just so beautiful. I just happen to be biased. I think Michigan's gorgeous anyways to begin with.
I have to say, the saddest part for me was that poor little drummer boy. Being the first one out there, of course, he's going to be the first one to go. He had to be so scared.
Yeah, that's sad that back in the day when they did have wars and stuff, and yeah, I've thought about that, even watching movies.
I also thought it was cool that they have like a yin and yang ghost with the lady in black and the lady in white, and the color kind of counteracts each other.
Yeah, I thought that those were interesting stories too. That sometimes you see a black figure, or then sometimes you see like a white ghost figure. That's just weird.
And to think about all of the people that have died at this one location in America, it's not only is it tragic, but it's sad to think that all these people are just stuck in time essentially because they can't go anywhere else. It's unfortunate.
Also, think about the fact that we're telling all of these souls to rest in peace, but we're going and we're making these places our tourist attractions. So are they really resting in peace?
Right. I think it's just sadly how much can we gain off of the paranormal world. It's just how far is too far though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Agreed. Well, great job. Great story.
Thank you.
Yes.
Christian, what do you have for us?
All right. Los Angeles, 1947. A city of dreams and deception. Beneath its glimmering lights lies a world of shadows where ambition meets danger and secrets fester in the cracks. On a cold January morning, the body of a young woman is discovered in a vacant lot. Her murder so gruesome, so shocking, it will haunt the city for decades. She was Elizabeth Short, but the world would come to know her as the Black Dahlia. Her life and dreams ended in horror, leaving only questions, speculation, and the chilling echo of a mystery unsolved. This is not just a tale of crime. It's a descent into the underbelly of fame, betrayal, and obsession. Tonight we unravel the darkness and explore the haunting legacy of the Black Dahlia. This is her story and the enigma that refuses to fade.
No, what?
Yeah. Apparently I have a hard time saying that one. Elizabeth Short was born July 29th, 1924 in Boston, Massachusetts. A native of Boston, she also lived in New England and Florida before relocating to California, where her father had lived. In July 1946, Short relocated to Los Angeles to visit Army Air Force Lieutenant Joseph Gordon Fickling, an acquaintance from Florida who was stationed at the Naval Reserve Air Base in Long Beach. Elizabeth spent the last 6 months of her life in Southern California, mostly in the Los Angeles area. Shortly before her death, she had been working as a waitress and rented a room behind the Florentine Gardens nightclub that was on Hollywood Boulevard. Elizabeth has been described as an aspiring or would-be actress. Some sources say she did in fact have aspirations to be a film star, even though she had no known acting jobs or credits. On the morning of January 15th, 1947, Elizabeth Short's naked body, severed in 2 pieces, was found in a vacant lot near a neighborhood that was largely underdeveloped at the time. Short's severely mutilated body was completely severed at the waist and drained of blood, leaving her skin a pale white. Medical examiners determined that she had been dead for around 10 hours prior to the discovery, leaving her time of death either sometime during the evening of January 14th or the early morning hours of January 15th. Her body had apparently been washed by the killer. Elizabeth's face had been slashed from the corners of her mouth to her ears. She had several cuts on her thigh and breasts, where entire portions of flesh had been sliced away. The lower half of Elizabeth's body was positioned a foot away from the upper half, and her intestines had been tucked beneath her butt. Her body was posed with her hands over her head, her elbows bent at right angles, and her legs spread apart.
I just couldn't imagine being the investigator, the police that's responding to a scene, and that's what you walk into as a scene. Like, how horrifying for the victim. That's just awful.
Yeah, absolutely. Elizabeth's autopsy was performed on January 16th, 1947, by Frederick Newbar, the Los Angeles County coroner at the time. Newbar's autopsy report stated that she was 5 feet 5 inches tall, weighing only 115 pounds, and had light blue eyes, brown hair, and badly decaying teeth. There were ligature marks on her ankles, wrists, and neck, and an irregular laceration with superficial tissue loss on her right breast. Newbar also noted superficial lacerations on the right forearm, left upper arm, and the lower left side of her chest. Short's body had been cut in half by a technique taught in the 1930s called a hemicorectomy. The lower half of her body had been removed by transecting the lumbar spine between the second and third lumbar vertebrae, which is just below the stomach. Newbar's report noted very little bruising along the incision line, suggesting it had been performed after her death. Another gaping laceration, a little more than 4 inches long, ran from her belly button down. The lacerations on each side of her face extended from the corners of her lips, were measured at 3 inches on the right side of her face and 2.5 inches on the left side. Elizabeth's skull was not fractured, but there was bruising on the front right side of her scalp, with a small amount of bleeding on the right side.
I just have to understand the amount of evil and disgusting hate you have inside of your soul to be able to do this to anybody, let alone how you even hate them this much. And this case always fucked me up in the sense that it was so gruesome.
I knew somewhat of this story, but I didn't know hardly any of this. The cause of death was determined to be hemorrhaging from the lacerations to her face and the shock from the blows to her head. Newbar noted that Short's anal canal was dilated at a little over an inch, suggesting that she might have been raped. Samples were taken from her body, testing for the presence of semen, but the results came back negative. Elizabeth was identified after her fingerprints were sent to the Federal Bureau of Investigations immediately. Following the identification, reporters contacted her mother in Boston and told her that her daughter had won a beauty contest. It was only after getting as much personal information as they could from her mom that the reporters revealed that her daughter had in fact been murdered.
Wait, so you're telling me that the FBI called her mom after she was found dead and told her she won a beauty contest?
No, after the reporters had found out who the girl was,
Mm-hmm.
they reached out to her mom. It was the reporters.
It wasn't even the cops.
Nope.
Oh my god.
They just wanted the scoop, and they wanted all of her information before anyone else got it.
Wow.
Yep. So they told her she won a fucking beauty contest.
It's just sick to just try to take advantage of people when they're in a vulnerable situation. That's just awful.
Yeah, well, she didn't even know. She didn't even know she was in a vulnerable situation yet. Until she had told them everything. On January 21st, a person claiming to be Short's killer placed a phone call to the office of James Richardson, who was the editor of the Examiner newspaper, congratulating Richardson on the newspaper coverage of the case and stating he planned on eventually turning himself in, but not before allowing police to pursue him further. Additionally, the caller told Richardson to expect some souvenirs of Beth Short in the mail, and 3 days later, a suspicious manila envelope was discovered with individual words that had been cut up from newspaper clippings. A large message on the front of the envelope read, "Here is Dahlia's belongings." It contained Short's birth certificate, business cards, photographs, names written on a piece of paper, and an address book with the name Mark Henson embossed on the cover. The packet had been cleaned with gasoline similar to Short's body, which led police to assume the packet had been sent directly by her killer. Despite efforts to clean the packet, several partial fingerprints were lifted from the envelope and sent to the FBI for testing. However, the prints were compromised in transit and they couldn't be analyzed properly. By the spring of 1947, Short's murder had become a cold case with few new leads. In September 1949, a grand jury convened to discuss inadequacies in the LAPD's homicide unit based on their failure to solve numerous murders, especially those of women and children, in the previous years, Elizabeth's being one of them. Elizabeth Short, at 22 years old, was buried at the Mountain View Cemetery in Oakland, California. After Short's youngest sister had grown up and married, her mother moved to be closer to her daughter's grave. She lived into her 90s and died in 1992. Well, I don't know about you guys, but that was an incredibly sad and horrific story.
Yeah, to be buried at 22 and being murdered and having your body essentially dismembered and everything is just awful. And then her mom was conned into giving these people information. It's just all around tragic.
Yes, absolutely.
22, waitress, 5'5", 115 pounds. I don't understand. Like, back to Josh's comment, how much evil do you have? It had to have been personal. It had to have been personal. And what's even more mind-blowing to me is the fact that they lost the evidence, the only thing that could possibly link them. That's insane to me.
Anybody think that there's an inside job going on here in the police department at that time?
Well, I honestly feel like maybe it wasn't even a man to begin with. It could have possibly been a woman too. And jealousy, aspiring actress, waitress. It's crazy. I feel like that would be a lot of passion for a woman serial killer, to be honest. I think that women are not really depicted in society as that way, but more and more they're out there.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that while I was writing this. They didn't find any semen, which they tested her body for. I mean, yeah, the killer tried to wash her, but how could you have washed her if you couldn't even get your fingerprints off the book?
Right.
I didn't even think of that. Women being jealous
but back to Josh's point too, women being jealous, yes, but then also the cops. It's just crazy to me because the blood wasn't drained in the vacant lot where she was found.
Yes.
It was?
Yeah, it would have to be because he just...
Okay, so...
just cut her in half and then everything, all of her blood would just escape and then soak into the ground.
But then they washed her too.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this is being done in a vacant lot in a neighborhood and nobody's seeing anything?
It was underdeveloped. There was no homes.
That's insane to me.
Mm-hmm. Very fishy.
And obviously it's been a cold case for however many years. But, I mean, there's cold cases that have been resolved 20, 30, 40 years after the fact, but not all of them get resolved, and it's very unfortunate.
Great job. I actually learned a lot about the case that I didn't know before. There's a lot of media out there on it. However, having a fresh take of the accumulation of all the sources, it's really nice to hear a fresh spin on it. So thank you for your perspective.
Yeah, of course. It was very, I don't want to say interesting. I'm glad that I researched it and read up on it because, like I said, I had no idea. I knew her because of, the Black Dahlia. And I knew that she was split in two, but I didn't know any of the rest.
I didn't know any of that. I had watched the movie when it very first came out with, what is her name?
I've never seen it. I don't know.
Sorry, I got no bone to throw you there, friend.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot her name. She's the same one that played Tina Brandon, so I'm at a loss. But at any rate, I had seen the movie. I just didn't know that much details. Like, I thought that she was an actress, and I thought that she was very well known in the community. I didn't know that she was a waitress, aspiring to be an actress.
It's all very sad. It's terrible.
Yep. Poor girl. She must have been so terrified.
Well, I hope they catch the bastard. As DNA advances, I'm confident that they'll get there.
I hope so for her sake and her family's sake.
What a super sad story, love. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
Sources for my story include Mackinaw State History Park's website, The Ghost Hunter's Guide to Mackinaw Island by Tracy Wilson, Haunted Michigan by Lisa A. Scheel, and there's 3 more remaining that will be listed on the website. What's yours?
My sources are wikipedia.org, fbi.gov, and people.com.
Wow, this episode has been a blast. Thank you, everyone, for joining, for listening, for being here. And before we leave, and hopefully it was on a good note, I just have one thing to get off my chest, and I hope this is a safe space to do so.
Yeah, what's that?
Mysteries don't sleep.
Neither do we.
Bye, bitches.
Humor, haunts, and homicide.